Hello there. I don't know about you, but these have been some pretty busy and stressful times for me, and I've been feeling kind of anxious. So I'm glad you joined us today. Jean and I have been talking about how this time of year can create so much anxiety and so much tension, and it's really important that we get back to feeling ourselves. Um, so I thought I'm going to put Jean on the spot here and ask, what are the things that happen in your body that appear when you're anxious? What are the
Oh,
signs of anxiety in you?
this is a great question. I was feeling it last night. We had some plumbing issues. I felt this tension really strong in my stomach, and I think I was picking it up from my husband, who was very, very anxious at the time. And that's how it mostly appears for me, but I'm sure that there are other things if I give it some thought.
Yeah, so sometimes I know for me, my heart races, right?
Mhm.
I get this like, "Ah," and this like feeling of kind of shakiness. Sometimes I even get a little sweaty. My
Hey, is
breath
it
changes.
different for different bodies?
I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think some folks feel it more in their belly. Some folks feel it more cardiovascularly. Some folks, might get really cold, might get really sweaty. But it's that sign that something feels not right, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of times in the yoga that we do, we're naturally bringing the body back into balance and alleviating some of the anxiety. But what I think is so fascinating about anxiety is it often shows up in our bodies in symptoms that are similar to when we exercise or when we, are almost too busy, right? And so it's a lot of physiological. And so sometimes when we can occupy the mind and get it out of its little pattern of thinking and worrying is what it is, then um, we can reset and we can disconnect from the worry and actually see ourselves in a position of not needing to hold on to the physical part of the anxiety. So,
I think that's what the reason I'm in yoga. That's what if I think about when I was younger, how I was anxious and didn't know it. I called it worrying, and the older I got and the more into yoga I got, I realized that it could just it just could relax me and release it in a certain sort of way. And I wish now I had had it when I was 15. And I'm trying to teach my daughter, but it's hard once she's a teen. She's 17. It's hard once they're there.
well, and that anxiety really kicks in at the teen years because all those hormones are starting to move and we're being asked to make this transition from child to adult, and that is full of anxious times,
Yeah.
and struggles that are unfamiliar. And it's really easy to get into a belief pattern that you're not good enough, that you're not doing it right, that you don't know what you're doing, that you can't make it work, and those all feed that feeling of anxiety. And anxiety tends to build anxiety, and like you were saying, when you're next to that person who's anxious, what happens to you? You start to get anxious.
And I was once with a friend during a panic attack. And that's the extreme. And it was terrifying to see the physical stuff he went through during that time. So let's get to them young and get it started early so they don't get there.
Yes, exactly. And even if, I mean, none of us are ever going to be immune from the anxiety attacks or the challenges physically of being anxious, but we are going to be able to notice the signs of it and to respond to it. And so I would love to share with our listeners today one of my favorite tools for relieving anxiety that I've done a lot with preteens and teens. In fact, I have one student who calls it the chop chop, and she always says, are we going to do the chop chop? Because she has struggled with anxiety and now feels like she has some really powerful ways to work with it and put it to her advantage. So,
Awesome. I can't wait.
all right. So this is really simple, and you can do it sitting down or standing up or sitting in a chair or even on your bed. I like to sit in easy sitting pose like Gina's sitting, just because it helps me to feel a little bit more grounded. So lengthen your spine and feel your roots growing into the earth. And take a big breath in through your nose and breathe it out through your mouth and just say, ah. Yeah, so that's the first step in relieving anxiety is the breath. So let's do that again. A big breath in and let it go and say, ah. And one more time, a big breath in and let it go. Nice. Now bring your hands in front of your heart. You can cross over your heart or you can bring your thumbs together. Just take a moment to connect with your heart space. So the chest is often where we start to feel that anxiety, the chest and the belly. Sometimes feeling your heartbeat and slowing your breath down can really help you come out of that anxious state. And now hold your hands a few inches away from your chest and palms together. And keep the elbows in close to your body and the wrists firm. And then let your eyes open just a little to look beyond your fingers. And just start letting your hands go down in front of you and pick back up as you breathe slow and steady. So just letting the arms like a chopping action. This is where my student calls it chop chop. And just letting your hands chop chop. And you're breathing slow and steady. And you're looking out just beyond your eyes. And just keep it going. Just a little more. Good. You can go really fast if you want, if you're feeling that that would feel good, or you can slow it down. All right. Now let your arms come to rest right out in front of you. Separate your palms to face you. And let your hands be in line with your shoulders or just inside the line of your shoulders. And now make your mouth like a circle. Now we're going to breathe in and out through that circle mouth, and the hands, the wrists are going to stay really firm like before, and you're just going to be like fanning yourself and go and breathe in and out through your mouth. But pump it from your belly, not your upper chest. Yeah, so feel your belly pumping that breath through your mouth. Yeah, like you're fanning that heat, that intense energy that comes with that anxiety. Fan it, blow it out, get rid of it. Yeah, move it through your body. Good, you're really working on channeling it. You're doing a great job. And if your mouth gets really dry, just pause for a moment and lick your inside of your mouth and keep going. Or just know that we're not going to be here too much longer and see if you can just hang in with it. Knowing that even sometimes those unsettled feelings are going to be okay. You're doing great. All right, now let those arms rest out in front of you again. Take a breath. And on the exhale, bring your hands back together. Just like in the first exercise, your palms are touching, your wrists are really firm, your elbows tucked in. And make your mouth a circle again, and we're going to do the breathing of the second exercise with the hands of the first. So it's chopping with your mouth in circle breath. Good. Feel the firmness of your arms, the strength of moving down the midline. Feel your belly pumping your breath. You'll be balancing your energy. In some ways, we're working on simulating the energy of anxiety in a space without energy, without anxiety. So we just can be there, knowing that we're separate from the sensation. And one more time. And then let your arms come to rest in your lap. If you'd like, look down at the floor or close your eyes and just take a few breaths and notice what's there in your body. And notice the pattern of your breath. Maybe it's a little slower or fuller. Invite that breath down into your belly. And on the inside, just keep saying to yourself, I'm okay now. I'm okay now. I'm okay now. Take a big breath in. Breathe it out. Open your eyes if you'd like, or just stay there for a few more breaths. How you
That was
feeling now, Jean?
I feel good, although I have to say that my little perfect problem surfaced because I was like, should I be pumping when I was trying to coordinate? And I find that often when I'm doing these repetitive things, it takes a little while for me to get into kind of a flow with it. So
Yeah, absolutely, because we're caught in that anxiety. We're caught in the thinking, and we want to get out of the thinking. And what things like that do is they get us to the place where we notice how fleeting the thoughts are, right? And then that thought might be replaced by another one and another one. And so then when we can recognize the temporary nature of the thoughts, we can recognize the temporary nature of our physical state of being, we can recognize our ability and control that we have to change it. And so a lot of what we do in yoga is really just redirecting. You know?
yeah, like a lot of what we do at Create Calm is repetitive, right? So there's not this sort of addiction to perfect form, and then your body's adjusting it. And I really love that part about what we do with the kids, because kids aren't going to get it perfect anyway. So if it feels good to their body and that's the rhythm that they get into, that feels good. I love that part about what we do.
Yeah, but that's exactly why, because we're working on rewiring the body and brain and letting it be in a space of that imperfection, knowing that that is the perfect way of being.
Well, before we close, I don't want to forget to let everybody know that we have this amazing teacher teaching our preteen class on Wednesdays at 4 o'clock. And the next class session is starting January 6th, I think it is. And I hope that you'll encourage your preteens to come, because let's teach them now before they get too much older.
Absolutely. And knowing that your yoga teacher is a trauma aware trained teacher who recognizes how anxiety influences so much of the teen and preteen experience really means a lot. And these preteen classes are just incredibly powerful and effective. And you're right, it's just a matter of giving the resources to our kids.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for joining me in another conversation.
Awesome as always. Till next time.
Bye.